Jaws is the iconic horror film that just turned 50 years old this year. The film was directed by Steven Spielberg and became a horror icon and staple. Many saw it as a perfect film, or say that, but is the ride Jaws perfect? Today, to honor 50 years of Jaws, we're going to dive into the Jaws ride itself and the legacy of this ride. Let's begin. The origins of this ride actually start way back in 1976, just a year after Jaws was released. The Universal Tram Tour, located in Hollywood at Universal Studios, had a section displaying the shark from Jaws as a sort of like animatronic. Now, this part of the tour was a big hit with guests and helped to start the development of Universal Studios Hollywood as a theme park, mostly because people just enjoyed the tram tour, but this specific thing I guess a lot of people were raving about and the effects of the shark. And so Universal saw it as, hey, maybe we can make themed entertainment around all of our films. Fast forward to 1990 when Universal Studios Florida is opened. The Jaws ride opens in 1990 on opening day as well. Now, in its first iteration, you would board a boat and tour Amity Island. The ride took you around, and at some point in the ride, you would encounter a great white shark named Bruce. Due to many problems, the ride was shut down almost immediately. From the reports that I saw, it seems like this ride and, the park opened in like June, and then the ride shut down in August. It was shut down so quick. Now, the main problem of the Jaws ride was the shark itself. Much like how Steven Spielberg himself encountered problems on set when trying to operate the shark in the film Jaws, the ride itself had a lot of problems with the shark animatronic working consistently. Due to constant breakdowns and complications, Universal sued Ride and Show Engineering Incorporated over the complications, as they were the ones to build the shark. Universal would then bring in totally fun company ITEC Entertainment and Intamin and Oceaneering International to build this ride, or rebuild the ride. The ride was reworked in basically every single way, but the biggest and most noticeable difference had to be that finale. Now, in the first version of Jaws the Ride, you have a skipper, kind of like on the Jungle Cruise or the Great Movie Ride. And don't worry, the skipper would continue, but your skipper would end up shooting an air tank in the shark's mouth, much like how Jaws the film itself ends. At that point, the shark would then explode underwater and shark pieces would actually fly. Now, the effect didn't always work, but hey, when it did, it probably looked really cool. In the second version of the Jaws ride, the one that most people have been on and have nostalgia for, Universal actually changed the ending to the shark biting an underwater cable attached to a high voltage barrage. This ending is more in line with the ending of Jaws 2, where the shark bites the cable and is electrocuted to death. The spring of 1993 did see the reopening of Jaws the Ride, and fans were very excited. The ride seemingly would never leave Universal because it worked so well and fans loved it to death. However, troubles came around 2004 when Universal realized that the inclement weather of Florida disrupted this ride a lot. The ride was an outdoor ride and couldn't keep up with Florida weather. The ride also had a duck problem where ducks would be in the ride's lagoon, and at least on one occasion, a duck died after being on top of a special effect in the ride, and I guess the special effect was like a little explosive, blew the duck up. The duck flew in the air and landed on a passenger. Aside from weather and ducks, the ride itself needed a lot of maintenance. Since the ride was in water, Universal would have to either get scuba divers to work on the ride, or they would actually have to drain the lagoon that the ride sat in just to work on it. Not to mention, the animatronics were still prone to breaking down, but not nearly as badly as it was in Jaws 1.0. The animatronics would also leak hydraulic fluids, which of course would contaminate the water and turn it green sometimes. It got so bad that somebody had given the EPA, yes, the EPA, a tip, and the EPA forced Universal to change their practices on maintaining the lagoon. At least once a year, the ride would be closed for maintenance, which was never a good sign for this ride. The Jaws ride was also very expensive, and in 2005, after Hurricane Katrina, the price of gas skyrocketed. That, combined with low attendance at Universal theme parks, especially in Florida, after, a natural disaster and tragedy, Universal started to look around and say, hey, I don't know how much longer we can keep this Jaws ride going. Now, in 2010, Universal's Islands of Adventure opened the highly beloved Wizarding World of Harry Potter, which was a massive success for them. In late 2011, Universal ended up announcing that Jaws the Ride would close its doors in 2012. The ride was too expensive and had an odd schedule of operation. On July 15, 2014, Amity Island would become Diagon Alley from Harry Potter. Now, Jaws the Ride lives on in some capacity here in the States. Of course, there are Jaws references in both Universal parks, but the Jaws shark from the tram tour actually remains a part of that tour in Hollywood, which is really, really cool since that's the same shark, or I'm guessing they probably updated it a little bit over the years, but still, it's the same shark that did inspire the ride to be made in the first place. Overseas in Japan, at Universal Studios Japan, Amity Island and the Jaws ride itself are still remaining. They still stand and are fully operational. Now, the ride itself is missed by fans because it was an iconic staple of the park. It was an opening day attraction. Fans say that the skippers themselves made this ride all the more enjoyable. Their performances on each and every boat ride made this attraction really, really memorable and personal for fans of both Jaws and the theme parks. I never got to go on Jaws the ride, and believe it or not, I've actually never been to any Universal Studio parks. I did visit City Walk though one time when I was in LA, which was kind of cool. I've never actually stepped foot in any of their parks. I will say though, I feel like if Universal really wanted to, I think they could bring back the Jaws ride, at least in Hollywood, so you don't have to worry about the inclement weather. With advanced technology of animatronics nowadays, I think you can build a more functional and better Jaws ride with a shark that doesn't need constant maintenance because of, water messing it up. At least that's what I think, and that's the hopeful opinion. But I want to know from you, the fans who have ridden the ride, what was it like? Would you guys like to see the Jaws ride ever come back in action? Let me know in the comments section, and I will see you guys next week.